Before we dive into the intriguing tale of Linda Carlson, a woman who transformed rejection into empowerment after revealing her $20 million mansion to her family, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like the video to support my channel. Welcome back to Her True Stories, where real women share their most powerful moments of truth. Today, we hear from Linda Carlson, a 62-year-old woman whose story unfolds around rejection, family tension, and a long-standing battle for respect. Linda's relationship with her daughter-in-law, Emily, has always been strained, but a recent family gathering pushed that tension to a breaking point. This is a story about humiliation, resilience, and the complicated dance of love and pride within families. Linda begins by recounting the family reunion that still lingers painfully in her mind. It was supposed to be a joyful occasion, a chance to reconnect and celebrate the milestones of her only son, Mark. But from the moment she arrived, Linda sensed something was off. Emily, Mark's wife, who had always seemed distant, now made it clear she didn't want Linda in the family home. "I remember driving up to the house, my heart full of hope," Linda says softly. "I thought maybe this time things would be different, that we could all just enjoy being together without the past hanging over us." But Emily's cold demeanor quickly shattered that hope. Without a word of explanation, Emily insisted Linda stay at a nearby motel instead of the family home. Linda was stunned. "I tried to reason with her, told her I didn't want to be a burden, that I'd be happy to stay in the guest room," she recalls. But Emily was firm. She said, "It's better this way." No warmth, no apology, just those harsh words. The rejection felt like a slap in the face, especially coming from someone Linda had tried so hard to build a relationship with. As the evening wore on, Linda found herself alone in a cheap motel room, watching the lights of the family home twinkle in the distance. She could hear laughter and chatter from inside, a family gathering that excluded her. "It was humiliating," she admits. "I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? Why am I being treated like this?" Linda's confusion was compounded by the fact that she had always been a pillar of support for her son and his family. "I raised Mark on my own after his father passed away," she explains. "Worked 2 jobs to put him through college, helped with the wedding, babysat their kids whenever they needed. I thought I was part of the family." But Emily's coldness made her question everything. She describes the motel room in stark detail. The threadbare blanket, the flickering fluorescent light, the thin walls that let in every sound. "I felt like an outsider, like I didn't belong anywhere," Linda says. "Sleeping there that night, I realized how deeply Emily's rejection cut into me. The experience revealed a chasm between them that no amount of goodwill seemed able to bridge." Linda's story is not just about a single night of exclusion, it's about years of subtle slights and growing distance. "Emily never liked me," she confesses. "I'm not sure why. Maybe because I'm independent, maybe because I didn't fit the image she wanted for her family. But it hurt to see her treat me like a stranger in my own son's life." The pain of being pushed aside by someone so close is a wound she carries still. Despite the hurt, Linda maintains a tone of quiet strength as she recalls the events. "I didn't cry in front of anyone that night," she says with a small smile. "I wanted to, but I held it together. I've always been the strong one." Yet beneath that strength lies a well of vulnerability, a yearning for acceptance that was met instead with cold dismissal. The tension between Linda and Emily is palpable throughout the story. "It's hard to explain," Linda says. "Emily and I see the world so differently. She's young, ambitious, and sometimes ruthless. I'm older, more reserved, and I value family above all else. But she seemed determined to keep me at arm's length." This fundamental disconnect is the root of their conflict, setting the stage for the unfolding drama. Linda also reflects on how this rejection affected her relationship with Mark. "He was caught in the middle," she explains. "He loves his wife, but he knows how much I've sacrificed for him. It put him in a difficult position, and I never wanted to cause a rift between them." The family dynamic is complex, with loyalties pulled in different directions, and Linda felt isolated despite being surrounded by loved ones. The motel incident was more than a moment of hurt, it was a symbol of the fractured ties within the family. I spent that night thinking about what family really means, Linda says. Is it blood? Is it loyalty? Or is it respect? Because if respect isn't there, then what are we holding on to? This question haunts her as she contemplates the future of their relationships. Throughout her narrative, Linda's voice carries the weight of experience and the scars of rejection. She shares how she struggled to understand Emily's motives but ultimately accepted that some things are beyond her control. I realized that I couldn't force someone to love me or even like me, she says. All I could do was hold my head high and stay true to who I am. Linda's story resonates because it touches on a universal fear, the fear of being cast aside by those we love. It is a raw and honest portrayal of a woman grappling with her place in a family that seems to have moved on without her. Her vulnerability invites empathy, while her resilience inspires strength. As she recounts the night in the motel, Linda's emotions are clear: hurt, confusion, and a deep sense of loss. Yet beneath that, there is a flicker of determination. That night changed something in me, she admits. It made me realize that I needed to stand up for myself, to reclaim my dignity. This moment of reckoning lays the groundwork for the next chapter in her story. Linda's experience is a stark reminder that family relationships are not always easy or fair. They require patience, understanding, and sometimes the courage to confront painful truths. Her story opens a window into the emotional complexities that many women face when their roles within the family are challenged or diminished. In this first part of her journey, Linda invites us into the intimate space of her heartbreak and rejection. Her tale is not just about Emily's coldness but about the resilience of a woman determined to find her voice amid the silence. It is a beginning marked by pain but also by the quiet promise of self-rediscovery. As we listen to Linda's words, we are reminded that the struggle for respect and belonging within a family can be as challenging as any external battle. Her story sets the stage for what comes next: a confrontation with the past, a revelation of hidden truths, and a quest to redefine what family means on her own terms. Stay with us for the next part of Linda's story, as she moves from hurt to determination, ready to reclaim her place and assert her worth in a family that has tried to push her aside. This is a story many will recognize, but few can tell with such honesty and grace. Welcome back to Her True Stories. Last time, we heard Linda Carlson's painful account of being rejected by her daughter-in-law, Emily, who insisted Linda stay at a motel during a family gathering. That night marked a turning point for Linda, who faced humiliation but found a spark of determination deep within herself. Today, Linda continues her story, a journey from hurt to resolve, as she decides not to let rejection define her worth. Linda picks up where she left off, describing the aftermath of that difficult night. At first, I was swallowed by sadness, she admits. But after a few days, I started to think differently. I knew I couldn't stay trapped in that feeling of being unwanted. I had to find a way to take control. She reflects on the years of hard work that had quietly built her life. People often saw me as just Mark's mother or Emily's mother-in-law, but I was so much more than that, Linda says with quiet pride. I had my own success, my own achievements, things I never bragged about because I never needed to. Linda reveals a secret she had kept from the family for years. She owned a sprawling $20 million mansion, a private sanctuary she meticulously maintained away from prying eyes. It wasn't just a house, she explains. It was a symbol of everything I had accomplished on my own. I worked hard, invested wisely, and built a life that was truly mine. This realization fueled Linda's determination. I decided it was time to stop shrinking myself to fit into their narrow view, she says. If Emily and the family wanted to see me as less, then I was going to show them what they had been missing. Linda's plan was not born from spite, but from a desire to reclaim her dignity and self-respect. I wasn't going to stoop to bitterness or retaliation, she explains. Instead, I wanted to remind them, and remind myself, that I am a woman who deserves respect. She began preparing quietly for a moment that would change everything. I sent out invitations for a casual get-together, something low-key, nothing fancy, Linda recounts. But behind the scenes, I was orchestrating something much bigger. Linda describes the anticipation mixed with nerves as she counted down the days. I wondered how they would react when they saw what I had created for myself, she says. Would Emily be shocked? Would Mark finally see me in a new light? I didn't know, but I felt ready. The narrator shares how this decision sparked a new confidence within her. It was empowering to take back control of my narrative, Linda says. For so long, I had let their opinions define me. Now, I was defining myself on my own terms. Linda also reflects on the emotional roller coaster she experienced during this time. There were moments of doubt and fear. What if they still rejected me? What if this only made things worse, she confesses. But the hope for change was stronger than the fear. She explains that this resolve was not about flaunting wealth to intimidate but about setting boundaries and demanding respect. My mansion is a part of who I am, but it's also a statement, she says. It says, I am here, I am proud, and I will not be overlooked. Linda's story touches on the complex emotions tied to family dynamics and self-worth. Sometimes, we hide our true selves to avoid conflict or rejection, she says. But in doing so, we lose sight of our own value. I wanted to reclaim that value and show it without apology. She speaks candidly about her hopes for the upcoming gathering. I didn't expect miracles or instant reconciliation, Linda admits. But I hoped that seeing me as I truly am would open their eyes to who I really am, beyond their judgments. The narrator describes how this newfound determination influenced her day-to-day life. I started dressing differently, carrying myself with more confidence, she says. I wasn't trying to be flashy, just authentic. For the first time in a long time, I felt like myself again. Linda also shares how her close friends and confidants supported her during this period. They reminded me of my worth when I doubted it, she says. Their encouragement was a lifeline, helping me stay focused on my goal. She reflects on the irony of the situation. Here I was, a woman who had built a beautiful life, yet I felt invisible to the people I cared about most, Linda muses. That sting made me realize how much respect matters in family relationships. Linda's narrative highlights the power of self-affirmation in the face of rejection. I learned that the only approval I truly need is my own, she says. But it felt good to prepare a moment where others could see me differently too. She reveals that this decision was not without its challenges. I had to confront my own insecurities and fears, Linda explains. Standing up for myself meant risking more hurt, but it was a risk I was willing to take. The story captures the quiet strength of a woman who refuses to be diminished. I'm not the kind of person who demands attention, Linda says. But I am the kind of person who insists on respect. Linda's determination sets the stage for the next chapter in her journey, the moment when she will reveal her true status to Emily and the rest of the family. I knew that day would be a turning point, she says. Whether for better or worse, I was ready to face it. She ends this part of her story reflecting on the importance of standing up for oneself, especially within family. We deserve to be seen and valued, Linda says softly. Sometimes, that means breaking from the expectations that others place on us. As we listen to Linda's evolving story, we witness a transformation, from a woman hurt by rejection to one fueled by resilience and a fierce commitment to self-worth. Her journey reminds us that empowerment often begins with a single choice, to no longer accept less than we deserve. Stay tuned for the next part of Linda's story, where the big reveal unfolds and the family comes face to face with a truth they never expected. Welcome back to Her True Stories. Previously, we followed Linda Carlson's journey from rejection by her daughter-in-law, Emily, to a fierce determination to reclaim her dignity and self-worth. Today, Linda shares the pivotal moment when she revealed her true status to her family, a moment charged with surprise, tension, and a powerful shift in family dynamics. Linda begins by describing the day she invited Emily and the rest of the family, framing it as an ordinary gathering with no hint of the spectacle she had planned. I wanted them to come expecting nothing special, she says with a knowing smile. Just a casual afternoon, some food, and conversation. But behind the scenes, Linda had prepared a grand unveiling. As the family arrived, Linda led them down a winding driveway lined with towering oaks, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the manicured lawns. Their eyes grew wide as we approached the mansion, she recalls. I could see the surprise flicker across their faces. The house was unlike anything they had ever seen, an architectural masterpiece with gleaming windows, sprawling gardens, and elegant stonework that spoke of opulence and success. Emily was the first to react, her usual composure replaced by visible shock. She didn't say much at first, Linda remembers. Just this stunned silence, like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. The rest of the family followed suit, their expressions a mix of awe and disbelief. It was a stark contrast to the way they had treated me just weeks before, Linda observes quietly. Inside, the atmosphere was charged with unspoken questions. The family wandered through rooms filled with exquisite art, plush furniture, and reminders of Linda's refined taste and hard-earned achievements. I watched them take it all in, and I felt a quiet satisfaction, Linda says. This was my world, my sanctuary, and they were finally seeing it. Linda recalls subtle interactions that revealed the shifting dynamics. Emily kept glancing at me, her eyes searching, she says. I think she was realizing that the woman she had dismissed was someone to be reckoned with. Throughout the gathering, Linda made pointed remarks, carefully chosen words that conveyed her disappointment without overt confrontation. I told them how it hurt to be pushed aside, how I had always been there for Mark and the family, Linda shares. But I also made it clear that I wouldn't tolerate disrespect any longer. Her tone was calm but firm, a message that resonated in the room. The family members exchanged glances, the weight of her words settling in. Linda describes how the grandeur of the mansion served as a backdrop to this emotional revelation. The house wasn't just about luxury, she explains. It was a symbol of my independence and strength. I wanted them to understand that I wasn't dependent on their approval to live a full and meaningful life. The family's reaction was complex. Some were genuinely impressed, while others appeared uncomfortable with the reversal of power. It was like watching a wave break, Linda says. Shock, admiration, maybe even a little envy, all rolled into one. Emily's demeanor shifted noticeably as the afternoon progressed. She started to ask questions, trying to bridge the gap, Linda notes. It was the first time she showed any real interest in me beyond cold politeness. This change, while subtle, was a sign that Linda's message was beginning to penetrate. Linda also noticed Mark's conflicted feelings. He was proud of me, but also caught off guard, she says. I think he realized how much he had underestimated what I had built for myself. Their brief, meaningful exchanges throughout the day hinted at a new understanding forming between mother and son. Throughout the gathering, Linda maintained control of the narrative. I wasn't there to gloat or seek revenge, she insists. I wanted to set boundaries and redefine how I was seen. Her poise and confidence created a new atmosphere, one where respect was demanded, not begged for. Linda recalls a particularly poignant moment when she addressed the family directly. I said, I'm not the same woman you thought you knew. I am proud of who I am, and I expect to be treated accordingly. The room grew quiet, the gravity of her statement sinking in. It was a turning point, no doubt about it. She reflects on the impact this revelation had on the family dynamics. There was a shift in the energy, Linda says. They began to see me not just as Mark's mother or Emily's mother-in-law, but as a person with her own story, her own achievements. This acknowledgement, though not complete, marked the beginning of a new chapter. Linda also shares how this experience helped her reclaim her self-esteem. For years, I had hidden parts of myself to avoid conflict, she admits. But standing in that room, in my home, I felt whole again. The mansion became more than a house, it was a testament to her resilience and self-worth. The story captures the delicate balance of family relationships when pride, expectations, and hidden truths collide. It's complicated, Linda says. Love and respect don't always come easily, especially when old wounds and misunderstandings linger. But this moment of revelation was a step toward healing those fractures. Linda acknowledges that not everything was resolved that day. There were still tensions, still unspoken grievances, she admits. But the lines had been drawn clearly. I was no longer invisible, and that made all the difference. The family's newfound awareness opened the door for change, even if the path ahead remained uncertain. She describes how the event sparked conversations that had long been avoided. We started talking about our feelings, our expectations, Linda says. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. This honesty laid the groundwork for rebuilding relationships on more honest foundations. Linda's story highlights the power of self-assertion and the courage it takes to confront those who have dismissed us. It's not easy to expose yourself like that, she says. But sometimes, you have to shine a light on the truth to move forward. Her journey is a testament to the strength found in vulnerability and authenticity. As Linda recounts the day's events, her voice carries a mix of pride and hope. I showed them who I really am, and I hope that was the beginning of a new respect between us, she says. Whether they choose to accept it or not, I know my worth now. This chapter in Linda's story is a powerful reminder that respect is earned and that sometimes, we must create the moments that demand it. Her experience challenges us to consider how we perceive those closest to us and the importance of acknowledging their full humanity. Stay tuned for the next part of Linda's journey, where the story takes an unexpected turn as family dynamics begin to shift and Emily's true feelings come to light. Welcome back to Her True Stories. Previously, Linda Carlson shared the dramatic unveiling of her $20 million mansion to her family, a moment that shifted long-held perceptions and began to rewrite her place within the family. Today, Linda reveals how this revelation sparked a reversal in relationships, especially with her daughter-in-law, Emily, who went from cold dismissal to seeking acceptance. Linda begins by describing the days following the grand gathering. The atmosphere changed almost overnight, she says. Emily, who had been so distant before, suddenly started reaching out. She recalls the surprise of receiving texts and phone calls that were once unthinkable. At first, I was cautious. I didn't know if this was genuine or just an act. Emily's newfound warmth was a stark contrast to the earlier coldness that forced Linda to stay in a motel during the family reunion. She began asking about my life, my interests, even complimenting the house, Linda recounts. It was like she was trying to make up for lost time. The change was not just in Emily, other family members also started treating Linda with more respect and attentiveness. Linda noticed Emily's approach growing more personal and, at times, pleading. There were moments when she seemed to almost beg for forgiveness, Linda says softly. It was a role reversal I never expected to see. Emily, once indifferent to Linda's feelings, now sought her approval and even assistance with family matters. This shift was bewildering but also revealing. It made me realize how much power dynamics can influence relationships, Linda reflects. When I was seen as vulnerable or less than, Emily dismissed me. But when I showed strength and independence, suddenly I mattered. Linda shares that this reversal was not without its emotional complexity. I struggled with whether to forgive and embrace this new attitude or keep my guard up, she admits. Part of me wanted to believe in change, but another part was wary of being hurt again. This internal conflict added layers to the evolving dynamic between her and Emily. The narrator describes specific moments that highlighted this change. Emily started inviting me to family dinners, asking for my opinions on decisions, and even confiding in me about her struggles, Linda says. It was a side of her I had never seen before. These actions hinted at a desire for connection that had previously been absent. Linda also notes how the rest of the family began to treat her differently. There was a newfound respect in their voices, a recognition that I wasn't just Mark's mom but a person with my own story, she explains. It was both heartening and bittersweet. The realization that respect had been withheld for so long left a lingering ache. Despite the positive changes, Linda remained cautious. I wanted to set boundaries, she emphasizes. Respect isn't something you earn once and forget about. It's ongoing, and I wasn't going to let old patterns repeat. She made it clear to Emily and others that her kindness was not to be mistaken for weakness. Linda's story reveals the emotional complexity of power and pride within family relationships. Sometimes, people only value you when you have something they want or when you challenge their assumptions, she reflects. It's a painful truth, but one I had to confront. She recounts how Emily's attitude shifted from dismissive to dependent, a dynamic that complicated their interactions. It was strange to see someone who once pushed me away now looking to me for support, Linda says. It made me question the sincerity of her change. The narrator also reflects on her son Mark's role during this period. He was caught between us, trying to keep peace, she explains. I think he was relieved to see us getting along better, but the tension beneath the surface was still there. Family relationships, Linda notes, are rarely simple or straightforward. Linda shares a moment when Emily came to her with a request for help, an emotional plea that surprised Linda. She asked for advice on handling a difficult situation with her own mother, Linda recalls. It felt like a turning point, where the old barriers began to crumble. This vulnerability from Emily opened a door for deeper connection. Yet, Linda remained mindful of the lessons she had learned. I didn't want to be taken for granted again, she says firmly. I made it clear that respect and kindness needed to be mutual. This stance helped her navigate the delicate balance between forgiveness and self-protection. The story highlights the power shifts that occur when pride and past grievances intersect. Emily's change in behavior showed me how fragile family dynamics can be, Linda reflects. When roles reverse, people can react in unexpected ways. This realization deepened Linda's understanding of their complicated relationship. Linda also talks about how this experience influenced her own sense of empowerment. I felt stronger knowing I could stand my ground and still offer kindness, she says. It was a balance I hadn't mastered before. This growth was a testament to her evolving emotional resilience. She emphasizes that this period was not about winning or losing but about redefining boundaries. I wanted to build a healthier relationship, one based on mutual respect rather than fear or obligation, Linda explains. That meant being firm but fair. Linda's narrative conveys the emotional roller coaster of family reconciliation, the hope, the hesitation, and the cautious optimism. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress, she admits. And sometimes, that's enough to start healing. She reflects on the lessons learned from Emily's reversal. I realized that sometimes people need to see your strength before they can appreciate your worth, Linda says. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality in many families. This insight brought clarity and a measure of peace. Linda's story underscores the importance of self-respect in the face of changing relationships. I learned that I don't have to accept disrespect, even from those closest to me, she states. And that standing firm can lead to unexpected opportunities for connection. As she looks back on this chapter, Linda acknowledges the complexity of forgiveness and trust. It's a journey, not a destination, she says. I'm learning to open my heart while protecting it. This balance is the essence of her ongoing story. Her truth is a reminder that family dynamics are fluid and that respect must be continually earned and maintained. I'm hopeful for the future, Linda concludes. But I'm also prepared to defend my dignity no matter what. Stay with us as Linda's story continues to unfold, revealing the challenges and triumphs of rebuilding relationships on new terms. Welcome back to Her True Stories. We've been following Linda Carlson's journey through rejection, revelation, and reversal within her family. Today, Linda reflects on the emotional landscape she has navigated, the pain, the pride, and the hard-earned lessons that have shaped her path toward healing and empowerment. Linda begins by acknowledging the deep wounds caused by Emily's initial rejection. That night at the motel still haunts me, she admits, her voice tinged with both sorrow and strength. It was more than just a place to sleep, it was a symbol of how little I was valued. The sting of being pushed aside by someone so close left a scar she could not easily forget. Yet, Linda also recognizes that respect grounded solely in wealth or status is fragile and, at times, hollow. When I revealed my mansion and success, the change in their behavior was undeniable, she reflects. But I learned that respect based only on material things isn't true respect. It can be fleeting and conditional. This realization tempered her initial satisfaction and deepened her understanding of what she truly sought. She contemplates forgiveness, a theme that has woven through her story. I've had to decide whether to forgive Emily and the others for their past coldness, Linda says thoughtfully. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing hurtful behavior, but it means freeing myself from bitterness. This internal work has been as challenging as the external changes she has pursued. Linda has also set firm boundaries. I'm clear now that kindness is not a license for being taken for granted, she explains. I'm willing to give love and support, but I won't let anyone treat me with disrespect again. This balance between openness and self-protection has been critical to her emotional well-being. The journey has reshaped Linda's sense of self-worth. I no longer look for validation from others, she says with quiet confidence. I've learned that my value comes from within, not from how others see me. This shift has brought her a peace and strength that had been elusive for years. Linda has chosen to channel her experience into something positive. I want to help others who feel invisible or disrespected in their families, she shares. My story isn't just about me, it's about all the women who struggle to be seen and heard. She envisions creating support networks and speaking out about the importance of mutual respect in family relationships. She reflects on the complex tapestry of love and pain that defines family. Families can hurt us deeply, but they also have the power to heal, Linda says. It's a delicate dance of loyalty, pride, and forgiveness. Her journey has taught her that healing requires courage and honesty from all sides. Linda acknowledges that rebuilding trust takes time. We're still working on our relationships, she admits. There are setbacks and misunderstandings, but there's also hope. This ongoing effort is a testament to her commitment to creating healthier, more respectful connections. Her story closes with a call to action for others. Don't let pride or hurt keep you from seeking better relationships, Linda urges. Stand up for yourself, communicate openly, and don't settle for less than you deserve. Her words resonate with the wisdom of someone who has walked a difficult path and emerged stronger. Linda's truth is a powerful reminder that family dynamics are complex and sometimes painful. But with patience, boundaries, and self-love, it's possible to forge new paths forward. Her journey encourages all of us to reflect on our own relationships and strive for respect and understanding. As Linda continues to rebuild her family bonds on healthier terms, her story serves as a beacon of hope and empowerment. Her courage to confront rejection and demand dignity inspires us to do the same in our own lives. Thank you for joining us on Her True Stories. Stay tuned for more journeys of resilience and transformation, where real women share their truths with honesty and heart. If you loved the story, like the video and subscribe.